That day, I had just returned home after collecting rent when I overheard Emily talking about me behind my back.
Sarah, look at John. He doesn't go to work at all and has no ambition. What good is it for you to stay with him?
Emily, it's not as simple as you think.
Speaking of which, I know a businessman who's quite handsome and, more importantly, has potential.
Emily had left her hometown to work in Guangdong, often working late into the night. She probably felt resentful seeing me at home doing nothing all day. But now, she was eating the crabs I bought and using the iPhone I gave her, yet she was bad-mouthing me in front of Anna. Who wouldn't be furious? I threw down my keys and was about to go over and scold her when Anna saw me from the hallway and quickly stopped me.
John, please, don't make a scene.
Emily's husband didn't come from a well-off family, and Anna didn't want to upset her or damage their sisterly bond, so she never told her about our family's true situation. After stopping me, Anna turned to her sister.
How can you say that? It's really out of line.
This mild rebuke didn't quell my anger, but I knew Anna always doted on her younger sister. For Anna's sake, I decided not to make a fuss.
Why should I hold back? Am I wrong? All he does is play video games all day. At best, he's a freelancer. At worst, he's unemployed. He's already given up at such a young age. What will you do in the future? Support him forever?
My anger flared up again, and I walked over and snatched the phone from her hand.
You eat my food, use my things, and still insult me? Do you take me for a fool?
It's just a phone. Here, take it back. Compared to the prime years my sister is wasting, what's a lousy phone? Tell me, where am I wrong? You either wander around in flip-flops or lie at home playing games.
I couldn't help but laugh at her words. I wore flip-flops to make it easier to check the utilities, and playing games was part of my freelance work. How did that make me unambitious in her eyes?
Sarah, he has no skills and just wants to tie you down. You should leave him sooner rather than later.
She was trying to steal my wife right in front of me. I'd never seen anyone so shameless. Emily was the first. I looked at Anna, curious to see how she would handle this.
Don't talk about him like that. He's your brother-in-law.
Every time Emily was around, Anna would lose all her assertiveness. In her eyes, Emily was very smart, so she rarely contradicted her. This attitude made me even angrier. I grabbed Emily and threw her out the door. Get out! Try coming to my house again! Ignoring Emily's terrified screams, I slammed the door shut, and the house instantly became quiet. Anna cautiously approached me.
Wasn't that a bit too harsh?
She was trying to introduce you to other men, and you still want me to be nice to her? So, in your eyes, only your sister matters, not your husband? Should I call her back and leave myself? Anna had never seen me so angry before and immediately teared up.
That's not what I meant.
Seeing her like this, I realized my attitude might have been too harsh. My heart softened, and I pulled her into my arms. But you should set some boundaries with her. She's trying to tear our family apart. How can I not be angry?
It's my fault, but she's still my sister.
You dropped out of high school to support her education. Has she ever cared about how much you suffered? You only think about being good to her. Has she ever thought about repaying you?
I never expected her to repay me.
I didn't know where her saintly attitude came from and felt utterly speechless. So, you're okay with her bullying me? Am I less important to you than a strand of her hair?
No, you both are very important to me. You're my husband, and she's my sister. I want both of you to be happy.
She was so anxious that her face turned red. I knew she cared about me and didn't want to make her feel worse. I can let your sister stay with us, but you can't let her have those bad ideas anymore, okay?
I'll definitely talk to her.
Emily was working alone in another city, so for Anna's sake, I decided to give her another chance. However, Emily didn't come home that night. Since I had taken her phone, Anna couldn't contact her. When we were about to call the police, Emily showed up early the next morning with her husband, Michael. They carried several large bags in a suitcase, looking like they planned to stay for a long time. I was instantly resistant, but because of my promise to Anna, I didn't say anything. Anna returned Emily's phone to her, and she immediately handed it to Michael.
You need to maintain your image while working. Use this phone.
Michael took the phone without hesitation and put it in his pocket. I started to scrutinize Michael. Despite the long journey, he was still wearing a black suit, and his hair was slicked back with mousse. Anyone who didn't know better might think he was an insurance salesman. What does your husband plan to do in Guangdong? Emily seemed lost in admiration for her husband, though I couldn't see what was so attractive about his receding hairline. Hearing my question, she snapped back to reality.
Of course, my husband has big plans here. Unlike you.
Before she could finish, Anna nudged her with her elbow. Seeing Anna's expression, Emily fell silent and muttered.
I'm not wrong.
Seeing Anna's change, I felt less uncomfortable than yesterday and decided to let it go. The living room was filled with tension as Emily and I faced off.
You eat my food, use my things, and still insult me? Do you take me for a fool?
Emily's voice was sharp, and her eyes were blazing with anger.
It's just a phone. Here, take it back.
Compared to the prime years my sister is wasting, what's a lousy phone?
I couldn't help but laugh at her words.
Tell me, where am I wrong? You either wander around in flip-flops or lie at home playing games.
I wore flip-flops to make it easier to check the utilities, and playing games was part of my freelance work. How did that make me unambitious in her eyes?
Sarah, he has no skills and just wants to tie you down. You should leave him sooner rather than later.
She was trying to steal my wife right in front of me. I'd never seen anyone so shameless. Emily was the first.
I looked at Anna, curious to see how she would handle this.
Don't talk about him like that. He's your brother-in-law.
You eat my food, use my things, and still insult me? Do you take me for a fool? Emily wasn't backing down.
It's just a phone. Here, take it back.
Compared to the prime years my sister is wasting, what's a lousy phone?
Tell me, where am I wrong? You either wander around in flip-flops or lie at home playing games.
I couldn't help but laugh at her words. I wore flip-flops to make it easier to check the utilities, and playing games was part of my freelance work. How did that make me unambitious in her eyes?
Sarah, he has no skills and just wants to tie you down. You should leave him sooner rather than later.
She was trying to steal my wife right in front of me. I'd never seen anyone so shameless. Emily was the first. I looked at Anna, curious to see how she would handle this.
Don't talk about him like that. He's your brother-in-law.
Each word thrown at Anna's face, almost as if they were branding me as someone who would sell her for money. After observing for a while, I had a clear understanding of the situation. They never intended to borrow money from me. Their goal was to make Anna leave me so they could use her to get Mr. Smith's investment. What a pair of malicious parasites! Even now, Anna hadn't seen through her sister's true nature.
Please stop saying that.
But Mr. Smith seemed satisfied, leaving a remark before taking a call on the balcony.
Whether you get the investment depends on you.
Hearing this, Emily and Michael's eyes lit up with greed. Fortunately, I acted quickly, pushing Anna into the bedroom and locking the door.
What's going on?
After locking the door, I vaguely heard some fragmented words from the balcony, like landlord and Fuyuan building. I didn't think much of it and focused on confronting Emily. That's your sister. Are you really planning to sell her out like this?
Stop talking nonsense. It's mutual consent. How is that selling her out? Are you trying to drive a wedge between us sisters?
I had to admit, Emily was good at escalating things. Are you sure your sister consents? Have you asked her opinion?
I haven't even accused you of trying to break up our marriage, yet you're already blaming me.
Get out! If you take another step, I'll call the police right now. Emily and Michael regained their senses, not wanting to escalate the situation. After all, their ultimate goal was to get Mr. Smith's investment. Once the situation was under control, Mr. Smith returned from the balcony.
Can you do it or not? If not, I'm leaving. I have a lot of things to handle.
Hearing this, Emily and Michael's greed flared up again, and they lunged at me. Sensing danger, I pulled out my phone to call the police. Just then, Mr. Smith's phone rang again. He answered angrily.
I'm about to call the landlord. Stop rushing me.
He went back to the balcony with his phone. Dodging Emily and Michael's attacks, I was about to dial when my phone suddenly rang. In the chaos, I accidentally hit the speaker button, and Mr. Smith's rough voice came through.
Hello? Is this Mr. Lee from for UN Building 207?
Emily hadn't reacted yet, trying to snatch my phone, but Michael had already stopped.
Mr. Lee, I wanted to discuss if we could postpone next quarter's rent. I'm really tight on money right now.
Emily was stunned, Michael was stunned, and so was I.
You eat my food, use my things, and still insult me? Do you take me for a fool?
It's just a phone. Here, take it back.
Compared to the prime years my sister is wasting, what's a lousy phone?
Tell me, where am I wrong? You either wander around in flip-flops or lie at home playing games.
I couldn't help but laugh at her words. I wore flip-flops to make it easier to check the utilities, and playing games was part of my freelance work. How did that make me unambitious in her eyes?
Sarah, he has no skills and just wants to tie you down. You should leave him sooner rather than later.
She was trying to steal my wife right in front of me. I'd never seen anyone so shameless. Emily was the first.
Anna, what do you think about this?
Don't talk about him like that. He's your brother-in-law.
Mr. Smith had been trying to get me to agree to delay his rent payment before I directly kicked him out. The property I owned in the building was managed by an agency, and I only had to collect the rent each month. But he had already been 3 months behind on rent and utilities and still wanted to negotiate? Not to mention, he had just made advances towards my wife. I was already being lenient by not taking more drastic actions.
Honey, where will Emily and Michael stay now that you've kicked them out?
I laughed in exasperation. They were about to sell you to an old man for money, and you're still worried about them? Even a saint has their limits.
She was desperate. I believe if it really came to that, she wouldn't go through with it.
How do you know she wouldn't? She invited the man right in front of me today.
I think she just wanted to scare you. Trust me, she has always been the kindest among us sisters. She wouldn't really harm me.
People change, Anna. Think about it. Would I ever do something like that to you, even just to scare you? If someone truly cares about you, such thoughts wouldn't even cross their mind. Do you understand? For a moment, the thought of separation crossed my mind. But then, memories of our time dating flashed before my eyes. Anna was my first love. Though clumsy, she was earnest in everything she did and always sincere with everyone. I never expected this trait to become my nightmare. But seeing her silent, with slightly reddened eyes, my heart softened. How about this? Let's wait a bit. We're both angry right now. Let's discuss this tomorrow, okay? Anna thought for a while and then silently nodded. Though I said that, it was just a stalling tactic. Because I knew Emily and Michael couldn't wait. That very night, I received some inappropriate photos from Emily. I glanced at them and immediately threw my phone away. Close call, almost blinded. Anna noticed my reaction and picked up the phone, looking at it. Her face froze, her expression changing rapidly from red to blue, then purple to white.
What is she doing?
I covered my eyes. Now you see what your dear sister is like.
Did she send it to the wrong person?
Fortunately, the next message popped up immediately. Brother-in-law, am I prettier than my sister? What a mess. I squinted and took the phone from Anna's hand, quickly turning off the screen, afraid she might send more strange messages. Anna, do you believe me now? You care about her safety, but she's secretly trying to undermine me. Do you think she really cares about you? Anna didn't answer me. She sat down on the floor with a thud. I was about to walk over when I saw her face covered in tears.
I've been so good to her. How could she do this to me? Out of all my sisters, I favored her the most. I even dropped out of school to support her education. How could she do this to me?
Anna cried uncontrollably, repeating the same words. How could she do this to me? Sigh. I gently held her in my arms. In this world, being good to others doesn't guarantee they'll be good to you. Sometimes, the more you give, the more resentment you might receive. Your sister might have long seen you as an enemy. You think hiding my identity from her would make her appreciate your kindness? No, she would hate you even more. People are different. Someone like your sister won't be grateful for what she has, she'll always covet what she doesn't. She has taken everything you gave her for granted. If you don't give her more, she'll resent you. Anna's emotions gradually stabilized. After a long time, she finally spoke.
I just realized she's no longer the little sister she used to be.
I blocked Emily, and for the next half-month, neither she nor Michael appeared before me or sought out Anna. Mr. Smith and his employees had been completely driven out of the office building. He did come downstairs to block me a few times, but I didn't hesitate to call the police to handle it. Life seemed to return to normal, but I didn't relax. Emily and Michael's belongings were still at my house, they couldn't stay away forever. So I waited. Until one night, half a month later, someone suddenly knocked on my door. Bang, 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 very forcefully. Anna was about to open the door, but I quickly stopped her. I had anticipated their return, so I had installed miniature cameras around the house. I opened my phone and saw that it was Michael outside the door. Looking closely, he was holding a stick as thick as a beer bottle. I was instantly alarmed and motioned for Anna to stay quiet. I grabbed a badminton racket from beside the cabinet and quietly led Anna back to the bedroom. After locking the door, I kept a close watch on the surveillance feed. Michael knocked on the door for about 10 minutes. Seeing no response, he left. I felt a wave of fear. He looked drunk, and drunks are not rational. If Anna had opened the door, we might have been in serious trouble. Anna trembled beside me. I held her, and we stayed awake all night. The next day, only when it was fully bright did I dare to open the door. I saw cigarette butts scattered at the corner of the hallway. That spot was just out of the camera's view. A cold sweat broke out on my back. For safety, Anna and I packed some essentials and left that day. We moved into another new apartment I had bought in the city center. Based on the cigarette butts from the previous night, I suspected that Michael's visit was not just a drunken mistake. If he was willing to wait, it meant he was ready for a confrontation. But even if he harmed Anna and me, what good would it do? In this age of surveillance, did he really think he could escape the police? However, all of this was just my speculation. I couldn't use it to accuse him, so I focused on protecting Anna and myself. After settling everything, I asked Anna to resign from her job. Emily knew the address of her company. Anna obediently complied, understanding the seriousness of the situation. For the next 2 nights, Michael showed up at our door, reeking of alcohol. Several times, he even tried to turn the doorknob. Hiding like this wasn't a solution, so the next afternoon, I quietly returned home. I quickly organized the contents of our safe but didn't take everything. Then, I left, making sure to leave the door unlocked. As expected, Michael appeared at our door again around midnight. He knocked a few times and then tried the doorknob. This time, the door was unlocked. Michael hesitated for a moment, then raised the wooden stick in his hand and tiptoed into the house. Emily knew about the safe, but she always thought it contained nothing valuable. Now that she knew my identity and after I repeatedly rejected her advances, she would definitely try other means. I didn't expect Michael to take such a big risk, considering there were many safer options. He couldn't resist the temptation of money. He was caught by the police I had notified before he even left the alley. Though he had drunk to bolster his courage, he confessed everything as soon as he entered the police station. But I still couldn't relax because Emily hadn't shown up yet. We only learned of Emily's whereabouts after Michael was sentenced. It turned out that after failing to seduce me, Emily had fled abroad with Mr. Smith, taking a large sum of money with her. This farce finally ended. Anna, still shaken, refused to return to our old home, so we moved into the new apartment permanently. My parents had passed away a few years ago, and Anna was almost like an orphan. She used to consider her sister her only family, but now, like me, she had no relatives left. We relied on each other. Encouraged by me, Anna left her job and started studying high school subjects again, preparing for the adult college entrance exam. For my health, I temporarily put aside my work and started working out. Together, we supported and encouraged each other, and 4 years passed quickly. We both grew a lot. Anna grew the most. After returning to her studies, her demeanor changed from the inside out. Most importantly, she was no longer as timid as before. Now, she approached everything with confidence and was quick to stand up against unfair treatment. After completing her undergraduate studies, Anna decided to pursue a master's degree. On the day she graduated, I drove a stretch Lincoln to pick her up. We used to prefer keeping a low profile, but now we had changed our mindset. We didn't flaunt our wealth daily, but we no longer suppressed ourselves. The students immediately noticed my Lincoln and swarmed around the car. But I didn't know that a pair of resentful eyes were watching me from a nearby vehicle. The students were good at saying nice things, and I happily took flowers from the car, handing them out one by one. Just then, Anna came out of the school gate, waving at me from a distance. I was about to raise the flowers to wave back when a figure suddenly appeared out of nowhere and rushed towards her. Her clothes were instantly stained with red. My heart sank to the bottom as I shouted and ran towards Anna. "Call an ambulance! Dial 911! The students reacted quickly, immediately calling the police and an ambulance. I was in a daze, holding Anna tightly and refusing to let go. Blood was flowing from her abdomen. It must have hurt terribly, but she still opened her eyes and weakly said to me,
It's okay, it doesn't hurt at all.
Tears streamed down my face. Anna was successfully taken to the hospital, with a wound to her abdomen. The surgery lasted 5 hours. The person who hurt Anna was caught. It was Emily. I felt immense guilt and regret. I knew Emily hadn't been fully dealt with, but I failed to protect Anna. When Anna woke up, she immediately read the emotions in my eyes and held my hand.
It's not your fault.
I, a grown man, broke down in tears in front of the doctors and nurses. Emily was sentenced and ended up in prison, just like her husband. Not long after, I accompanied Anna to see her one last time. When she saw us, the hatred in her eyes only grew.
I was so good to you, why do you hate me?
Who cares about your kindness? You are inferior to me in every way, yet you married better. Don't you find it ridiculous? Life has been so unfair to you and me. Why shouldn't I hate you? You're so foolish, yet you married someone who treats you well and is wealthy. I've always been better than you, but I ended up with someone who only beats me and is poor. I hate you. The better you treat me, the more I hate you.
I advised you not to marry him, but you were too stubborn.
Emily didn't expect Anna to still care about her at this moment. She laughed through her tears but remained stubborn.
I chose this myself, and I have no regrets. But you got lucky. I can't compare to you anymore. I won't have the chance in this lifetime.
Emily's tears dried up, and her smile became lifeless. Before being taken away, she said,
That night, I tried to stop him. I still saw you as my sister then. But I couldn't stop him. The more I tried, the harder he hit. I couldn't take it anymore, so I ran. But life outside was tough. The hardships I endured are beyond your imagination. When I finally came back, I saw you living so well. How could I not hate you? My life was ruined by that one impulsive act. I tried so hard to stop him, but now I've ended up just like him. Isn't it laughable?
After leaving, Anna sat silently in the car, staring blankly out the window. I knew she didn't get the apology she wanted. But she didn't need it anymore. I held her hand, determined. No matter what happens, I will spend the rest of my life protecting her gentle heart.